Good evening, Oakland teachers, educators, parents, and students. I'm Keith Brown, president of the Oakland Education Association and a teacher released from Bret Harte Middle School. I'm addressing you today to talk about the state of bargaining the MOU for crisis distance learning in the Oakland Unified School District. The primary reason that we have not reached an agreement is because we know that we need dramatic improvement in the quality of crisis distance learning. I would like to introduce Heath Madam, a teacher at Oakland Technical High School and a member of our OEA bargaining team, to speak more on why we feel so passionately about improving crisis distance learning for our students, families, and educators. Take it away, Heath.
Thank you, Keith. So this past spring, too many educators spoke of the challenges and hardships of reaching every student during crisis distance learning, and too many parents and students spoke of how the online learning experience wasn't meeting their needs. And so as the new year gets underway in crisis distance learning once again, both OEA and OUSD agree that our teachers need to prioritize targeted small group instruction. As teachers, we know that this is the best practice for our students, yet we are also familiar with the tension of managing small groups and also conducting whole class instruction. So to best support a combination of whole class instruction and targeted small group instruction, OEA has proposed that the district allow classroom teachers in their professional judgment to call on our certificated teacher substitutes, many of whom are retired classroom teachers with years of experience in the classroom in their own right, to support us with these competing demands. We know that small group instruction will benefit our students, but we also know that it requires additional work hours. And so anyone who has hosted a Zoom, and it's just something that's time consuming for any one individual teacher to take on. And so anyone who's ever hosted a Zoom call, and I think that's most of us at this point, knows how helpful it is to have someone co-facilitate and manage the room. And so allowing teachers to call on substitutes when appropriate to help manage and co-teach the class will make the crisis distance learning experience better for all students, but especially those who need the most support. And so that's the kind of support we really need across the district, is more people helping out. And so parents, your children and our students deserve high quality classroom, a high quality classroom teacher and as many additional staff as possible to support targeted small group instruction. The money is there for this. The district's budget was not reduced at all by the state this past fiscal year moving forward. And in fact, they've even received additional learning loss mitigation funds to support this kind of targeted intervention. So during this pandemic, we really need as many adult certificated staff as possible to give individualized attention, care, and high quality learning opportunities and experiences for our students. And so with that, I would like to introduce Taiwo Kujichagulia, I'm sorry, Taiwo, a teacher at MPA Upper and a mother with 2 children at Madison Park Elementary. Please take it away, Taiwo.
Hi, I'm Taiwo Kujichagulia Seitu. I teach performing arts at Madison Park Academy, and I have a 4th grader and my oldest is actually in high school, 10th grader at Madison Park Academy. As a mother who is also a teacher, I am trying to wrap my mind around how I'm going to be able to both teach my students and assist my own children while we're teaching. Everyone in my household needs to be online at 9 a.m. according to our schedules this year, which means I'm going to have to assist my 9-year-old get online, help her while I'm also teaching. I honestly don't know how that's going to work without a co-teacher in the room with me. Over the summer, I had the privilege of teaching, and I had a co-teacher from our after-school program. So if we could have subs in the room with us, it would be so wonderful, because while I was teaching, my co-teacher during the summer was able to assist all the students who were having technical issues accessing the classroom. They would send me a text message. I didn't have to stop what I was doing to assist children getting receiving their live instruction. It just makes sense. And those were smaller classes over the summer. My largest class this upcoming school year has 36 students. And I honestly cannot imagine what will happen if there's some sort of challenging tech issue, and there always is every single day. And I have to stop every 2 to 3 minutes to assist students who are having issues. So co-teachers in the room with us just makes sense. It makes sense whether you're assisting your own children or not. It just makes the most sense in this crisis distance learning situation.
Thank you for that, Taiwo. You put it beautifully. So we're now going to hear from a number of parents and teachers throughout the district. And we want to really just say to parents, we hear you. You know, we're all in this same storm, but we're also in different boats. But what we do have in common is that we all want quality education for our children, and our children really deserve it. And so we're going to hear from a number of folks right now. And as we kind of hear from folks, the question they're going to be answering is just telling us, what was the crisis distance learning experience like for you in the spring? And what are you hoping for in the fall? And we're going to start off with Adrienne Grays. And so Adrienne Grays is a parent of 5 children, 3 of whom are in Oakland schools. And she's also a parent fellow at the organization of Bay Area Plan. And so take it away, Adrienne. Please just share your thoughts on crisis distance learning with us.
Hello, hi. Again, I'm Adrienne Gray. So for the fall, was very rough for me for distance learning. Communicating with the teachers, also trying to get Zoom to work properly. And then when it would work, it would be so choppy and we couldn't like get the instructions that we actually needed. It was also not a set schedule for us to even communicate with the teachers. For the fall, I'm hoping for better communication, a consistent schedule, also flexibility where, you know, we can reach out to the teachers if we actually need additional help. If there's any technical issues that instead of the teachers stopping what they're doing, to help us get back into the room, that there's somebody on hand to help with the Zoom.
Thank you, Adrienne. Would you maybe want to say a little more? Do you think that having small group instruction for your children would be beneficial?
It would be beneficial because that means they get a little bit more hands-on, and also if they have any questions that needed to be answered, they could be answered without being rushed through.
Thanks, Adrienne. So next up, we're going to hear from Pauline Russell Silva, who's a teacher at Esperanza Elementary and who also has a child there as well. So she's both a teacher and a parent. And so Pauline, if you could just answer the same question. What was the crisis distance learning experience like for you in the spring, and what are you hoping for the fall, both I guess as a parent and a teacher?
Yeah. So last spring, as a teacher and as a parent, I appreciated having flexibility with the schedule so that I could balance my role as a teacher and meet with all my students and support their families, and also support my son who started TK, and also the flexibility to make it more developmentally appropriate since he's, you know, is a young child and he's entering kindergarten this year, and I would still appreciate that flexibility. So I could support him with logistical issues such as logging in, but also and bumping up his work to next level, and then also making it developmentally appropriate. So which you just can't do via Zoom. I also was very blessed to see him continue working with his TK teacher as well as his TK literacy tutor in small groups as well. And then also with my class, our AmeriCorps tutor was able to help us with breakout sessions when we did whole group lessons so that students can get the language support they need in both English and Spanish. And also our after school program teacher who knew quite a few of the students because they were in the after school program with her, joined us for a few sessions. So that's something I hope for all students in Oakland. So having substitute teachers join us would help establish, you know, educational equity and support the students who have the greatest needs, but also continue that relationship, like, because they'll be happy to see familiar faces, albeit online.
Thank you so much, Pauline. Really appreciate it. And so next up, we'll hear from Coriander Melius, one of my colleagues at Oakland Tech. She's a special education teacher. She's a parent of a son at Tech and a daughter at Bret Harte. And so please take it away, Coriander. What are your thoughts on crisis distance learning?
Hey, I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm going to answer the question about what it was like for us in the fall. Sorry, in the spring. Time is different for me now. When we left in March, it was pretty overwhelming and chaotic, and we were just trying to stay above water. My daughter, who is starting Bret Harte this year as an SDC student, she has a behavior plan and actually receives 10 hours of ABA therapy a week. And so as a parent, and I know there's other parents out there who have children who get this kind of behavior services, you have to be present for your child's behavior services, and because that's the only way that it works. And there's a lot of us out there, not just teachers, but other parents who are also working like I am. So it's been, it was really like difficult to keep her engaged. Fortunately, my son, who is 15, is pretty independent and self-sufficient. His classes were bigger, and it was much easier for them to hit other tabs and do other stuff. And I think that, you know, he skated by it. He also needs to be engaged, even though he doesn't have this behavior plan. Hi, sweetheart. So I have an intervention, I have 2 support staff who help out with my program, and they really need training on how to co-facilitate Zoom or Google Meet, whatever it is that we're going to be using. And, you know, knowing that we have money to do this, it's crazy that we wouldn't train folks to be co-facilitators, to hold these small group sessions so that our kids can be engaged and get the consistency and the equity and the education that we can provide under these crazy circumstances. And we have to remember these are crazy circumstances and really like be gentle with each other. You know, the flexibility is a must right now. We have to, people are overwhelmed. It's a lot. Our kids are overwhelmed, you know? And a lot of times the online sessions turn into social things, and that's all right too. But we are trying to make sure that the content gets in there this time around. So when we left school, it was very much, are we staying in touch with each other? What's going on? How are you doing? You know, read this article. But now teachers are ready to present real content. And I work at a high school, so we're talking chemistry, we're talking algebra 2, you know. And if we could do that where we have an adult with a small group of folks who will stay engaged, why wouldn't we do that? I think we should demand it, and we deserve it. So.
Thank you for that, Coriander. I think you just really explained it so well, like how important it really is to have the small group instructional support. It just makes sense for students. So thank you for that. And so next up, we're going to hear from Danielle Taylor, who's a parent of 2 students with IEPs at Bret Harte Middle School. And so Danielle, same thing, your thoughts on how the crisis distance learning, how it was for you in the spring when we first went into it, and then thoughts about what you're hoping for this upcoming school year.
In the spring going into it, it was very hard because we didn't have the computers, nor did I have the technology on how to even work Zoom. So the teachers my kids' teachers was my son's teacher was a big help because she would always come in and help me navigate. I could text her on the outside, and then we did have other substitute teachers that would come in. So that was nice. So the small groups is really going to be helpful for mine because mine has special needs and he doesn't like looking at the computer for so long, so he gets distracted. And he would like to have another teacher come in and to kind of bring him back on track. So that works. But what I'm looking forward to happening in the fall is that when the teachers get on and redo our small groups, if we have our small groups, is they're going to be able to get all the kids on track or minds and, you know, help keep moving forward through the fall that way. So I'm looking forward to having them doing small groups and having more teachers online to where they can help direct the kids, well, my special needs kids in a different in a way to where they can still get all their education and not be so crammed up into one session. So I also wanted to know, is it just going to be for an hour, or was it going to be, how long was the classes going to be? And if the classes is going to be for longer than an hour, which I think is good, are they going to have other teachers come in and help? So where the other so the main teacher doesn't get too distracted with helping everybody else and not even getting to the work. So we ain't getting to the work. We too busy trying to find out this glitch, that glitch, and is everybody here? And some people don't show up on time. So that's where I'm at for the fall. I just want to know, how is it going to work? And is it going to be smaller groups? And is it going to be more teachers around to help the kids get back on track? And when we in a session, did we just do a whole hour of getting everybody online? And now that everybody's online, now it's time to hang up. So it was no work really being done. That's what I'm hoping, that in the fall that we get that part together.
Thank you for that, Danielle. Yeah, it's really, I think we're just hearing over and over from everyone, it's really important to have the resources and the staff so that we can have this small group instruction to make it meaningful for students. So thank you for your thoughts on that. Next up, we'll hear from Kyla Delgado, a teacher at Coliseum College Prep Academy, CCPA, and a parent of two. So Kyla, same question for you. Your thoughts on crisis distance learning?
Yeah, hi all. So a lot of my time as a teacher was spent doing one-on-one check-ins. So I teach 11th and 12th graders, mostly 17 and 18-year-olds in East Oakland. And a lot of my students were really caught between balancing school and home responsibilities in this moment of crisis. So a lot of our students had parents who were laid off because of COVID, because of the work that they did, and a lot of kids who were responsible for taking care of younger siblings. So a lot of my work as a teacher by necessity was very individualized. I would have live instruction, but then afterward, a lot of my work was following up with students who couldn't attend that live instruction because now they're working these hours, because their younger sibling was on a Zoom at the same time and they had to be supporting them. So at our school, we pulled every adult into that work of doing that one-on-one follow-up and making sure our students were cared for, that folks had food, that if our students had other responsibilities, they were able to keep up with school. So I think that having as many adults as possible to do one-on-one support with students, small group support with students is really key. As a parent, I spent a lot of time writing apologetic emails to my kids' teachers about poop emojis in the chat of Zooms. So full class Zooms were really difficult for my third grader, for him to maintain focus. And with, all the other kids on the call, he was really excited to see them. It was hard for him to sort of like stay on what he was supposed to be staying on. So, I had to look out for those like additional open tabs of like Minecraft videos. And it was a lot. And I think that I have tremendous respect for his teacher, but I think it was really difficult for her to hold a full class of wiggly, 20-something wiggly 9-year-olds. My younger kid had mostly one-on-one check-ins with her teacher. They didn't do a lot of full class Zooms, and the quality of those interactions was just so different. So I really think that small group instruction is key because we are talking through screens and because it's much harder to make those kinds of connections. The level of connection and the level of accountability where we can really be talking to our students, asking them questions about what they do and don't understand. Small groups is the only way that that's going to be possible. And so I really think it's incredibly important to bring additional adults in so that all that work doesn't fall on my shoulders of having 10 small groups a day when I have my own kids who I'm also trying to support, but so that we can spread that work out among other adults at the school.
Thank you for that, Kyla. I think it's just, again, hearing again how important it is to really have small groups. And so our next speaker is Sarah Sanford Smith, parent of 3 children, one of whom attends Edna Brewer Middle School. And Sarah, same question for you. Your thoughts on crisis distance learning, how it was in the spring, what you're hoping for the fall.
Sorry, I need to unmute myself. Thanks, Steve. I do want to focus on the fact that this is crisis learning. Teachers are not equipped for this, families are not equipped for this, and it's not equitable. And this is the situation that we're all finding ourselves in right now. Spring was a mess for us. I had 2 children who were in full class Zooms. And as a parent who works full time and is also trying to meet with clients virtually, having kids run out, when I say kids, my kids, running out to me, trying to interrupt because they got upset at something that a classmate said, or because they just felt bored, or just didn't, any number of reasons, were hungry, whatever, is difficult. And I can only imagine how difficult it is too for one teacher to try and maintain focus for 30 plus kids, and all of who are having those problems. So, and something else that I do want to, say is my oldest, who is going into Edna Brewer, who's just an amazing, gregarious kid, child, and has always been really motivated to work, really had a hard time. And I think not having any sort of individualized interactions really affected her social and emotional health. And so what I'm hoping for come fall would be a way, smaller, definitely small group instruction, more individualized attention, so that the kids can get, in addition to, strong instruction, can get that social and emotional support, because I think that's key in this crisis.
Thank you, Sarah. Really appreciate those comments. My daughter is upset in the background right now, so I can kind of relate to what you were saying. And so last up, we have Jose Padilla, a teacher at MLA and a parent of 2. Jose, can you take?
Hello. First, I want to say thank you to Heath for the work that you're doing on the bargaining team. I can imagine how hard that is, and I appreciate it so much, as do all the teachers at my site. I am a parent of 2 and the spouse of an essential worker. My wife works with HIV patients who are at very high risk right now during COVID. She goes into the clinic 3 days a week, and I'm home with the 2 kids by myself. And then the 2 days she's at home, she's still doing telehealth with patients and needs to lock herself away in the bedroom due to patient confidentiality. We literally had to put a sign on the door that says, "Pregúntale a papi." That means ask papi. And so we literally have to say, you can only ask papi while I'm trying to teach my class. My 17-year-old has been with us for about 2 years. She is a sophomore at Oakland International High School, and she has special needs and needs a lot of support when she's trying to log on to the computer, do her work. She needs a lot of language support for English, and the way that it's set up right now is she can't really do her work independently. And of course, when you have a 17-year-old and a 7-year-old, when the 17-year-old is asking you a question, all of a sudden the 7-year-old is like, excuse me, papi, I have a question too now, all of a sudden, with this thing that I've totally understood for the last 3 months. That's just how siblings kind of are. And it is incredibly challenged to handle those asks from your kids while you're still also trying to be on Zooms with your class, create videos for your class, do planning for your class, any of those jobs that are part of the teacher, not just literally that face-to-face interaction, which is also hugely important. So it was a really big challenge for us over in the spring as the school year was ending. And I did notice a huge difference over the summer during summer school when My 17-year-old was doing English language development and had a teacher and a para working with her and was getting one-on-one interaction, and also had a shorter day than she did during the end of the school year. I was able to see a huge difference in her ability to handle things on her own. Of course, at that point, I wasn't managing a class because I didn't teach summer school myself. It has just been so difficult. And as I'm getting ready for the fall, I'm trying to do my best to make sure that everyone is getting prepared. My grade level team is meeting with their classes at 9. I had to move my meeting with my class to 8:30 so that I could be on my youngest daughter's first Zoom class, which is also at 9. So I had to reschedule from the rest of my grade level team in order to help my 7-year-old log on to a Zoom and meet her class for the first time. It's definitely going to be a challenge. And one of the ways to meet that challenge is bring on all those retired teachers who I love to call in when I need a sub. And I'm really looking forward to hopefully be able to access that sort of support, because there's no way we're going to get through this without all the support, every hand on deck to get this done.
Thank you for that, Jose, and apologies for my connection dropping a moment ago. But yeah, I think just to summarize, it's pretty clear that across the board, everyone recognizes the need to have additional support in the classroom. It can't just all fall on the classroom teacher. We all work incredibly long hours and work incredibly hard for our students, but in this format, we really need, we need support in regular times, but especially now, we just need a lot more support, and bringing in substitutes, many of whom are retired teachers, and any kind of resources to support our students is the right thing to do. And so with that, pass it back to our president, Keith Brown, to kind of wrap us up. Over to you, Keith.
Thank you, Heath, and thank you, educators and families, for participating in this Facebook Live update, and thank you, Oakland community, for viewing. It's Saturday evening. Our 21-member OEA bargaining team of educators have been working tirelessly day and night since the beginning of July to make sure that we have an equitable opening of our schools for the Oakland community. We need to have an agreement now, this weekend, before Monday, before our students return to school. For the community of Oakland, for our families, we need an agreement. So we are calling on you, Oakland community, to contact our superintendent, Kyla Johnson-Trammell, superintendent at OUSD.org, so that she can direct OUSD managers to come to an agreement, listen to the Oakland educators, and to provide for our students targeted small group instruction utilizing our valued teacher substitutes, and also for flexible scheduling. So we need to come to an agreement today, Oakland community. So again, thank you for joining us, and we will provide you with more updates. Thank you and have a good evening.